So, we've been hearing the rumors for years, whispers in forums, leaks from supply chains, the idea of a truly dynamic, almost alive user interface, something that goes beyond just tapping icons and swiping through static pages. Apple has been iterating on iOS for a long time. We've seen small changes, we've seen big redesigns, but with iOS 26 it feels like they finally delivered on a promise we didn't even know they made. They're calling it liquid glass, and let me tell you, it's one of those things you have to see to really get it. It's not just a new feature, it feels like a whole new philosophy for how a phone should work. Alright, let's break it down. What is liquid glass? In the simplest terms, it's a new UI layer in iOS 26 that allows apps and system elements to exist in a fluid, interactive state. Forget the rigid grid of icons we've known for almost 2 decades. Liquid glass treats your screen like a single cohesive canvas. Instead of opening an app to see information, the information flows out of the app and lives on your screen. Think of it like widgets, but on steroids. They're not confined to boxes, they can expand, shrink, overlap, interact with each other, all with incredibly smooth, physics-based animations that make it feel tangible. The core technology here is a combination of ProMotion display, a 19 bionic neural engine, a new software framework. It's not just an animation pack. The system is constantly analyzing your context, calendar, location, messages, routines to predict what you need. If you've used an iPhone at any point in the last 15 years, you know the drill. A grid of icons, a dock at the bottom, swipe to the side for more icons. Sure, we got folders, then we got the Today view, and eventually, we got home screen widgets with iOS 14. Those were big steps, but they were still building on the same old foundation. The home screen was fundamentally a launcher, a place you went to go somewhere else. It was organized, it was simple, but let's be honest, it was also pretty static. You had to actively seek out information by opening apps one by one. Now with iOS 26, the experience is completely different. It's like going from a neatly organized file cabinet to a smart desk that arranges your papers for you based on the project you're working on. The first time you unlock your phone in the morning, you don't just see your wallpaper and icons. You might see a gentle, translucent overlay from your calendar app showing your first appointment. A small, pulsating waveform from Spotify might be in the corner, ready to resume your morning podcast. It feels less like a static grid, and more like a personalized dashboard that's constantly but subtly shifting. The look itself is a major departure. So what's truly new here? Beyond the cool animations, there are a few core features that make liquid glass special. The first is what Apple is calling contextual stacks. This is a huge evolution of the Smart Stack widgets we already have. But instead of you manually stacking widgets, the OS does it for you automatically and dynamically. It might group your music app, your podcast app, your audiobook app into a single morphing audio stack. When you connect your AirPods, that stack automatically comes to the forefront, anticipating what you want to do next. Another huge improvement is the concept of live interactions. This goes way beyond the live activities we saw on the lock screen. Now, these live updates are integrated everywhere. Imagine you're following a recipe in a cooking app. Instead of keeping the app open, a liquid glass element can float on your screen, showing you just the current step. As the timer for that step counts down, the element itself might slowly shrink. When it's time for the next step, a simple tap on the element expands it to show the new instructions. You could be browsing Safari or answering a message while this persistent, interactive element stays with you. Then there's the App Fusion feature, and this one is pretty wild. It allows 2 separate liquid glass elements to temporarily merge and share information. For example, you could drag a contact bubble from your phone app over to a calendar bubble. They would then fuse together, creating a new element that instantly lets you schedule an event with that person, pulling in their contact info and your calendar availability in one seamless interface. Finally, the customization is on another level. You're not just choosing which widgets go where, you're setting intents for your home screen. Okay, so the tech is cool. But how does this actually change your day-to-day life? Let's walk through a few practical examples. Imagine you're getting ready to leave for work. You glance at your phone. Instead of a grid of icons, your screen shows a single unified view. A Maps element in the corner shows your current commute time with live traffic. Below it, your Now Playing element from Apple Music suggests your commute playlist. A tiny notification bubble from your Messages app shows a text from your partner saying, "Have a good day." which you can tap to expand and reply to without launching the full app. It's your entire pre-commute check-in, all in one glance. Now let's say you're at the grocery store. Because it knows your location is a grocery store and you have a shopping list in the Reminders app, that list becomes the most prominent element on your screen. It's not just a static list either. As you walk down the aisles, it might reorder itself based on the typical store layout. As you check items off, they satisfyingly fade away. At the same time, a small calculator element might be floating nearby, allowing you to quickly add up your total as you shop. It's about having the right tools for the specific context you're in, without having to hunt for them. Consider a lazy Saturday afternoon. You're deciding what to watch. Elements from streaming apps might gently float, showcasing personalized recommendations. You could chat about a show and tap to play it on your Apple TV via AirPlay. While the everyday use cases are compelling, the real potential of Liquid Glass might be for power users and professionals. For a content creator, this could be a game changer. Imagine editing a video in Final Cut Pro on your Mac. On your iPhone with Liquid Glass, a continuity element appears. It acts as a remote control. It acts as a color grading palette. It acts as a color grading palette and media browser for your project. You could scrub through your timeline on your phone's screen. For someone in sales or a project manager, the App Fusion feature is killer. You could be on a call, and a Liquid Glass element for the phone app would be active. Drag a Salesforce element onto it. Drag an Asana element onto it. The two merge, automatically logging the call duration, linking it to the correct client or project, and creating a pop-up text field to add notes right then and there. Once the call ends, the element saves the information to the right place and disappears. Developers and designers also benefit. Using a new API, they can create custom Liquid Glass experiences. A web developer could have a Safari element showing their live site, while a code editor floats next to it. Even in healthcare, a doctor could have their iPhone surface critical patient alerts and schedules in one glance. Of course, no new technology is ever universally loved right out of the gate. Liquid Glass is no exception. While many are praising its innovation, there's a vocal group of users with some valid concerns. The biggest one, the learning curve. For nearly 20 years, we've been trained to tap an icon to open an app. This new, fluid, context-based system is a significant mental shift. Some longtime iPhone users are finding it chaotic and unpredictable. Another major point of discussion is battery life. There's no getting around it. A system that is constantly analyzing your context, running complex animations, and pulling live data from multiple apps can cost power. Apple claims the A19 Bionics efficiency cores and variable refresh rate mitigate this, but real-world reports from beta testers are mixed. On heavy usage days, some users are reporting a noticeable drop in battery performance compared to iOS 25. With any system that claims to be smarter about you, the privacy alarm bells immediately start ringing. Liquid Glass, by its very nature, needs to know a lot about you to work its magic. It needs access to your location. It needs access to your calendar. It needs access to your messages. It needs access to your app usage habits, and more. It's constantly processing this information to predict what you need. So, the big question is, where is all this processing happening? And who gets to see that data? Apple's stance. The vast majority of the contextual analysis happens on-device using the neural engine. On paper that sounds great, but App Fusion and cross-app features require data exchange, permission prompts, and introduce more variables, and that raises real concerns. So, after weeks of use, what's the final verdict? Is iOS 26 Liquid Glass truly the future of smartphones? I think the answer is a qualified yes. It feels like the beginning of something big, the most ambitious change to iOS since its inception. When it works, it feels like magic. It surfaces information right when you need it. The animations are seamless. App Fusion is genuinely clever. It points to a future where phones are less a collection of apps and more a single intelligent partner. However, it's not perfect, not yet. Battery concerns are real. Information overload is a risk. Success depends on refinement and on third-party developers embracing respectful, privacy-aware experiences. Liquid Glass feels like a confident step into the next era, a bold bet on-device intelligence and contextual awareness. Not just a new coat of paint, a fundamental rewiring of the iPhone's DNA. The future, it seems, is fluid. If you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe and let me know. Is Liquid Glass the future?